Welcome to the Inside Texas Football YouTube channel powered by InsideTexas.com. We got some great breaking news to talk about as Texas has landed a transfer from Jermayne Lole. He had originally committed to Oklahoma in early April, but the former Arizona and Louisville product has now decided that he wants to continue his career on the 40 acres. It's always kind of funny to see Texas flip somebody from Oklahoma. We'll get into that later, but Eric, this is big as it obviously brings a very experienced player and addresses what Steve Sarkisian called one of his biggest needs as they exited spring ball.
Yeah, experienced puts it mildly. Imagine if Deshaun Jameson was still playing for Texas, or Anthony Cook, or any of those guys from the 2018 class. That's how long he's been around. It's interesting. He'll pair with Wild Bill Norton at times. That's 2018 and 2019. If you ever would have told me in those years that we were going to still be covering these players in 2024, oh man, I would have thought that all the rules were abolished. Which I guess basically they have. Yeah, so he's definitely mature, as you said. What I like, especially when you look at his older stuff from Arizona State, is he won a lot of times with quickness, and we're thinking that they're going to have to move these defensive linemen around a lot more than they did last year with Sweat and Murphy. I think he fits that profile of a guy that you can put on the move. He's big. I think he played multiple gaps. He could probably even two-gap it sometimes, given his size and maturity. It's just a sign that Steve Sarkisian is obsessed. We said on Monday that they're going to keep looking over every rock. We weren't sure anything was going to pop up, but here we are.
I like that you mentioned that we got some old players that we're talking about on the defensive line. And when you go into a league like the SEC, they make a big deal about the trenches, and rightfully so. But if you're going to be playing in a league that emphasizes the line of scrimmage, it's nice to have some mature experience there. And he definitely brings that. Pro Football Focus has him mostly operating as a B-gap player with over 700 career snaps there, but he can also play over the tackle or maybe closer to the tackle than the guard, brings some versatility and gives Pete Kwiatkowski the depth and ability to do maybe some different things with his defense, considering who they have on the defensive line.
Yeah, we spent a lot of time this offseason already talking about how they're going to fit the roles that were in the traditional four-man front last year. But, when they're in their base, three-man front and a linebacker rolled up, we haven't talked about that all that much. Last year, Vernon Broughton played a ton of snaps as a five-tech. Alfred Collins played a good amount of snaps at five-tech too. But both those guys are probably going to have to be counted on to play inside more to replace Sweat and Murphy. And so who's going to play that outside? You've got Dre Bledsoe. Certainly Vernon Broughton could still play out there. But this might allow them to play Tia Savea out there more, because now you don't have to focus Tia inside so much because you got Lole there now. So I just like the fact that it helps build out that base front and also another rotational player. A fresher player is going to play better than he would otherwise, right? I mean, the fresher you are, the stronger your duty cycle, the more efficient you are as a player. He's going to help other players just by being out there and keeping their stamina up.
We talked a little bit about, advanced stuff with Pro Football Focus and where he lined up, but let's look at the straight up production. And I'm going to highlight the season that I think Texas would like to see reproduced. And that's his 2019, which again, that was his sophomore year. So we're talking about 5 years ago, his sophomore year at Arizona State, played in 13 games, 71 tackles at the defensive tackle position, again, playing in the B gap for the most part, 10 tackles for loss, 6.5 sacks, 2 passes defended, and a fumble recovery. I think he was one of he had to have been first team all Pac-12. And then even then, he followed it up in 2020 during the COVID season when old Herm Edwards was hosting recruits when he wasn't supposed to be, in 4 games, 24 tackles, 5 tackles for loss, 1.5 sacks. You see some defensive tackles, even at Texas, have a stat line like that through 12 games. To have that through 4 is, obviously something that is impressive. And I think in 2020, he decided to sit out with COVID. And then you look in 2021 and 2022, I think he had arm injuries. I don't know if it's on the same arm. A quick search revealed that he had a triceps injury and an elbow injury. But when you think about what they're looking for from someone who's listed at just over 300 pounds, that'll probably help him, or won't be as much of a detriment to him when he's trying to play and anchor. He can use those legs. Those aren't injured or those don't have an injury history. You may see him with a J.J. Watt type bionic arm at a certain point. But again, Eric, I think they're trying to see if they can get that 2019 production. And even if they get that 2023 production, I think it's a solid piece to add as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the 2019 would be a dream. I was encouraged to learn that his injuries were not lower body because, again, he did win a lot in his time at Arizona State with quickness, and obviously, knee, ankle injuries could slow down your movement skills. But you said it's arm, so that's good. I was encouraged looking at his last year's stat line. His two best games were the last two games of the season. They played quality opponents. One was at Florida State; they got killed, but he played pretty well later in the season, and obviously you're just happy that he played a 12-game schedule. So here we are. It's towards the end of the portal. You kind of just have to take what you can get, and to me, it's a good piece to add, but it's also there's a Schadenfreude involved too of taking one of OU's guys. They need defensive tackles worse than Texas does, and so it's just kind of a fun day.
Yeah, I want to touch on that as well, and I think there was a time when we were covering Texas and we were covering recruiting that we would look up and see an Alabama offer and everything. And then there was a notion, at least on our message board at Inside Texas, that, Nick Saban's just doing this just to get one over on Alabama. Nick Saban didn't, or just to get one over on Texas. Nick Saban didn't recruit to get one over on his opponents. He recruited to get the best players and to fill needs. And, if there was a slight to whoever he was going up against, and that was just a result. That wasn't the intended effect. This is, I think, more of the same. Steve Sarkisian's not doing this just to, get Oklahoma. He talked a lot about how they needed more big humans on the defensive line. We saw them pursue Dominic Williams, obviously Jay Toya, Bill Norton, and they continued to go after defensive tackles as we see with this move. So Sark is going after guys who will fill needs. But it's always kind of nice if filling those needs, you essentially take somebody off the opposing roster and leave them in a little, not exactly dire straits, but in a rougher situation than they entered the portal in.
Yeah, obviously OU is big for them getting Dominic Williams because without that, this would have been even more devastating. But yeah, you're weakening your October opponent. Sark's got to win that game. This definitely helps Texas. It makes Texas stronger, and it weakens your biggest rival. So yeah, it's a win-win as far as that goes. But heading into the SEC, another very, very mature piece, very, very mature. We were joking about their names here. You've got Bill, straight up Bill. You said he's not William or Billy or Willie or any of those things. He's Bill. Then you've got Vern. You've got Al. All these older guys. I think Texas' defensive line is in a lot better shape than a lot of fans think, just because of the maturity and the experience. I think they're going to be fine, and the amount of pieces you can rotate. Don't underestimate that. That's a huge piece. It was a big part of why Texas was so good last year. Tavondre Sweat playing 40 snaps a game, that improved those 40 snaps, right? So I mean, the amount of depth they have now. Maybe it's not top line quality that you'd like to see outside of maybe Alfred and possibly Vernon with the big breakout. But there's a lot of very useful pieces that can play together. A lot of different combinations they can use. So I think it's a good addition. Not the biggest addition of all time, but it's going to help improve Texas for the season for sure.
So if you take out Kendrick Blackshire, who comes to Texas, enters the portal, that's 10 additions now via the transfer portal. And I think, honestly, it hit pretty much everything Texas needed. They needed to restock the wide receiver room. Mission accomplished there. Needed to add depth at the secondary. Mission accomplished there. Needed one more edge rusher. Got that in Trey Moore. And now they've bolstered their defensive tackle front with Bill Norton, like you said, Tia Savea, and now, as we see, Jermayne Lole. Anything else you think happens in the portal? I think this puts Texas at 83 scholarships. They have an 85-man limit. Obviously, I know we never say never, but it kind of seems like they've hit everything they needed to and can start to focus on the 2024 season in earnest now.
You would think. But, if you're going to be obsessed about winning, you're going to be obsessed about roster management. And they're still looking and going over guys. And I'm not ruling out something else popping up. We'll see. I don't want to get fans' hopes up, but they're definitely still looking. I posted on Monday that they're still going after it. I didn't think anything would materialize. Here we are. So now, even if I don't think anything materialized, it doesn't matter because they're still looking and maybe something will pop up.
That'll do it. Thank you for watching this video. Make sure you like the video, subscribe to the channel, head to InsideTexas.com. You can get 2 months of Inside Texas access for just $1 if you use the promo code IT1. We'll have a lot more analysis over there on Inside Texas and even on this channel. Again, once again, thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time on the Inside Texas Football YouTube channel, powered by InsideTexas.com.